Breakups are often the symptom of problems in a relationship. My workbook series, The Knowledge, is focused on helping you change your life in 4 key areas: retaining the information that I teach, personal growth, improving your relationships, and of course, re-attracting your ex. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And today we're going to be talking about how to know a breakup is coming. Okay, so this is an important video because even if you're not with your partner right now, you need to be able to assess romantic relationships. You need to be able to assess what's going on between you and your partner. Oftentimes, little signs can mean a lot more than you think. Your partner might say something to you as a throwaway comment, or it feels that way, but it's really an indication that there's a lot more going on within them and how they're feeling.
Yes.
And so, if you're not able to assess when things are going wrong in a relationship, you're going to wind up getting broken up with, and it's going to be like a shock. Right. And you're just going to be devastated. So this is important for you guys to understand. Margaret has some really good reasons for this one.
Yes, I don't want you to be my word for the day, thunderstruck, when this
Thunderstruck.
happens. Okay.
Is that a Tina Turner song?
I think so. And if it isn't, it should be.
Thunderstruck.
Okay. Because
I don't think they want my singing anymore after that.
Probably not, Craig, but don't feel bad. You have many other talents. Now, we were talking about just recently how it's a good idea to be assessing your partner even when you're in the throes of, being drunk on love and all those hormones.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is in your best interest and your partner's for you to get to know them really well. That's what partners do. So I'm here to help you be more nosy and to ask more questions. And if somebody's really interested in you, they're going to respond. And if they don't, then you need to think again. Let me give you some examples. Where do you begin with doing all this? Just notice what your partner's daily life is like. Work, friends, family, how do they juggle all those? How are all those things going for them? Mm-hmm. Does any area jump out particularly? If they just had a fight with a friend, or they don't like their job and they want to leave it, or they're afraid they might get fired, or they're visiting their family, or they're having fights with their family, all those daily, normal human things.
That's right.
Just, keep track of them and be interested in them. Okay?
Because if you're not, you're going to miss out on what's going on within them, right?
Exactly.
Because if they're stressed out about a bunch of other things,
right,
they're going to take it out on you and in the relationship.
Ultimately, yes, they are. And I know people sometimes don't share because they don't want to burden their partner. But if you want to spend a lifetime with someone, or even think about it, then you have to be able to exchange things freely.
Okay.
Okay? One of the first questions to ask is this person a grown-up? Do they behave like a grown-up? Because I hate to inform everyone that not everyone who's over 18 or 21 is truly a grown-up.
I don't think a lot of people like to think about it.
I know. It's hard to think about. Being a grown-up is no joke.
No.
I've always been a little unhappy with it myself.
A lot of people just don't want to go that far, and they just want to be with somebody. They don't want to think about it.
Right.
They don't want to think about being a grown-up.
But you really have to, because love is a wonderful, drunken feeling at this point. But you need to use your brain too. Okay?
Absolutely.
So, is this person a grown-up? Do they appear to function like a grown-up? How do they do with decision-making in big things and small things and everything? Do they depend on people for some things? Do they still take their laundry home to their mom? Do they go to mom's house 2 nights a week for dinner? All of those things can be perfectly healthy, or they can be an indication that this person is not really free to get into a relationship with you. So notice everything.
Now, one of the things you said is about making a decision. Okay?
Yes.
If your partner is unable to make reasonable decisions with their career or their friends or their family, what are the chances they're going to be able to make reasonable decisions with you?
Not so good, which is why I emphasize this, okay? As far as I'm concerned, there are a couple of definitions of adulthood, but one of the big ones is that you're able to make your own decisions for your own life. Now, you might ask 400 other people for advice. That's a good thing to do, but the final decision is yours. But unfortunately, there are many people in this world who never get to that point. And you have to remember about decisions, you are going to be one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if they're making poor decisions regarding their finances, they're going to make poor decisions regarding you and them, regardless of how you're treating them. So you got to be aware of this, because a breakup could be coming. You know, both you and I have talked to somebody, or maybe you're going to talk to this person, about the partner that got into a huge amount of debt. Did you do a coaching with them yet?
Yes.
Okay. So, a huge debt.
Huge debt.
And they were in a position to be very successful based on their business. Of course, what happened? He wound up breaking up with her. What? He's not making good decisions. And that tells me something's going on where he's not put together well. What do you think about that?
Well, I think he's not making good decisions either. And I think I even called him an adolescent, because it looked like he was making impulsive decisions that spent a lot of money and not really thinking about the consequences. I mean, I'm sure he was very happy when he bought the $125,000 car or thereabouts. But yeah, it was not a smart thing to do.
No. And so if somebody's making huge rash decisions like that, how is that impacting their life and their ability to stay with you?
Right.
You got to think about that.
Right. Ask yourself all these questions. Yeah. How to Be Nosy by Coach Margaret. But you're not essentially being nosy, you're being interested. You're interested in this person.
Yeah.
Okay. All kinds of variables can be involved in this. You know, people come from other cultures. And I've heard quite a bit about that, where parents have for centuries expected to be involved in the choice of who the person is going to marry, and are still struggling with that whole issue. Is it my decision? Do my parents get a vote? How come it's always been that way in my culture? It can be extremely difficult to deal with.
Yeah. And so, for those of you that may be dating somebody that is from a culture like that,
Yes.
You wouldn't be thinking about that. You wouldn't be expecting that.
Right.
Because I've noticed in a lot of those cultures, the parents don't typically meet anybody until it's getting to the marriage
Right.
point, where they say,
Right.
I'm going to marry this person.
Yeah.
Then the parents get involved. So if you're dating this person not having any idea that the parents are really all of a sudden going to make all these decisions for this person
Or want
that
to
you're dating,
guilt trip them, yes.
it can wind up leading to a breakup.
Absolutely.
And I just talked to a guy, I think, late last week that happened to. I think I
Yes.
told you about him.
Yes, you did. So all those things can be involved. Do people seem to have their own opinions? Or do they tell you what their father thinks, or their uncle thinks, or their friend thinks, or their last boyfriend thought about, I don't know, the political scene, religion, whatever? Do people seem to have their own opinions? Because that's another sign of being an adult. And for women, I mean, even in this current culture, men are socialized very differently to be decision makers, whereas many times, not even on purpose, I don't think, it's part of our culture, women are not socialized to be able to make decisions. You know, I'll ask my father, I'll ask my boyfriend, I'll ask my uncle. And when you get all done with that, what do you think? Okay?
So if your partner is not making their decisions, then who's making the decision to
Who's
break up
making
with
the
them?
decision, yeah.
Break up with you?
Exactly.
Other people.
And you always want to support a partner in being a fully functioning adult. And if somebody has trouble making decisions, help them a little and see how well that goes. You know, you have a right to make this decision. This affects you. I'll support you. What if I make a mistake? We all make mistakes. That's how we grow. That's how we get to be grown-ups. We make a few. Okay? So the world won't end if you make a decision and it's a wrong one. But you don't want it to be about your life partner.
Yeah.
Okay? And sometimes people will tell you that they have several times had to do things they didn't want to do because their parents asked them to do it, or a former husband asked them to do it, etc., etc.
Oh, yeah.
And they weren't able to say no. You don't want someone who can't say no. okay? You want someone who can make reasonable decisions for themselves.
So think about this for a minute. Let's say you're dating somebody and they have a family member that tells them to end your relationship. If they can't say no, what do you think is going to happen?
Right. So you want to be concerned about your partner's abilities in these areas. And how many times have we seen that happen? Yeah.
Over and over.
And sometimes I'll say to people if they get back with me, we might have seen that coming because of this, this, and this, and it really takes a bit for them to understand.
Yeah.
Or I've said to some people who've been broken up with, but her family adores me. Not if you interrupt with Betty being like this with her mother.
Yep.
All right? Then you're expendable. So it's nice if her family loves you, but if you get in the way of what goes on in that family of origin, you're still in trouble.
Yep.
Okay? All right. What kinds of interests does this person have? Doesn't make any difference what they are. We're all entitled to our interests. I had somebody ask me one time if I enjoyed owling. I didn't know what that was.
Oh.
Very funny. You wait till it's dark and you go from barn to barn and see if you can find barn owls. And I don't know if you get arrested on the third barn for trespassing. But people have all different kinds of interests. There's people who have no interests that worry you. Well, can you think of anything that you might enjoy? And again, it's part of being one's own person and having one's own tastes and likes. How does this person do with communicating? Here are the dangerous phrases that we hear all too often. If you are considering anybody for anything long-term, you have to be concerned about communicating. Red flag statements would be, men are logical and women are emotional. You're not going to get too far trying to communicate under those circumstances because he's going to speak logic and she's going to speak emotion. And you're not going to be on the same page. Or, my boyfriend doesn't like to talk about emotions. I hear that over and over and over again. Do you?
I do.
Yeah. And I think, again, it has something to do with the way we've socialized men. And, left over from the Westerns, however many decades ago, men were expected to be the strong, silent types. In other words, don't have any feelings, mister. And if you do, for God's sake, don't let anyone know you have them.
And look at a lot of those early Disney movies, like Prince Charming.
Yes.
The guys didn't say anything.
No, they didn't.
Did the guy in Snow White even talk?
No, I don't think he did.
And what about in Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty?
Prince Charming said, "Nice shoe, honey," and that was about it.
Yeah, those guys never had said anything. They were just there.
But men have emotions and men have words to put to them. So I think we do each other disservices sometimes. We've gotten back at men by telling them that it's hard to learn to cook. Okay? All right. So how does this person communicate? My boyfriend doesn't like to talk about emotions. I hope he's ready to learn, because if you plan to spend much time with him, never mind 20,000 Wednesday nights, you're going to need to talk to him. If you're going to raise children together, you're going to need to talk to each other.
And if you feel that things aren't going between you well and you're not communicating, somebody might be unhappy and a breakup might be coming.
And you wouldn't know it because God
you
forbid,
didn't talk to
and
him.
God forbid we should talk about how we feel. I've also had people say to me, and I almost don't know how to respond, I'm thinking about it, well, if I say anything out loud, that will ruin everything. No, and where did you learn that? I mean, you must have learned that somehow when you were growing up.
If it's that fragile,
yeah, then
that you can't even talk about
right,
it.
Then you really need to talk about it. I've talked to couples who were, very close to really making commitments to each other, saying, well, I'm afraid to raise anything because I'm afraid it would ruin everything. How can I help you? I mean, we have to use words. We absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And how emotionally literate does this person seem to be? Now, what exactly does that mean? It's a popular phrase these days. It means, do you know what the basic emotions are, and can you express them when you need to? And it's okay, the world isn't going to end and the relationship isn't going to end. Happy, sad, mad, scared. Those are the four basic ones. Everything else is really a variation on that. So That's what you're looking for. Can this person tell you when they're happy? Probably. When they're sad? Maybe. When they're angry? I hope so. Or when they're happy? Sure. No,
or scared.
I missed one. Scared, yeah. And we all get scared of various things at various times, sometimes even irrationally. We need to communicate it. Why would you have a partner if you didn't communicate those things?
Yeah.
Right? Why would you bother? Okay. Are these people aware of the impact of their emotions on other people? And there are some people who aren't. Most people can learn that if for whatever reason it doesn't come intuitively to them, that, you know, if you fight with somebody, slam the door in their face, they're going to be angry at you the next time you see them. And there are people who think, oh, was she or he upset about that? Oh, I thought it was okay to do that. So, I mean, there are people who can genuinely do that, not meaning to offend, but just don't think about how that works.
Sure.
Can this person negotiate? What if you have a disagreement? I want to buy a $90,000 car. Give me the money.
Well, you better get me one too.
Okay, what kind would you like? No, we'll never make it. But, you know, can you negotiate things? Or can your partner negotiate things, or do they always have to have their own way? And if they do, you better take a long look at that. Because negotiating, and for God's sake, don't try to raise an adolescent without knowing how to negotiate, because that's how you get around their craziness. You know, you make deals with them, but you have to know how to negotiate. At the various family members, do they look well put together? Do they look strange? I would never write anyone off for being strange as long as they're not mean. Do they look like healthy people who have lived reasonably healthy adult lives? Not perfect, but okay, you know? All those and other questions that you think of. Yep. Is this person willing to participate in this get-to-know-you activity? Do they ask you the same questions? And they better.
Yep.
Because they need to know you too. Why is all this so important? Because in the long run, decision-making will decide whether you have a short-term relationship or ultimately a committed relationship.
Yep.
And we don't want you to get burned.
That's right. And so if
do your homework.
If you're not aware of these things and you don't really sit down and think about it, a breakup could be coming and you won't be ready. You won't be prepared.
Yeah.
You don't want to get yourself in a situation where you're going to get heartbroken.
Yeah.
Most relationships fail. That's the truth.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't even guesstimate, but I'd probably say 90% of relationships fail. Because think about how many people we tend to date before we get married.
Absolutely.
And then even the marriage rate is...
I think they say 10 or 11.
Yeah.
10 or 11 relationships before we get married. So yeah, it's important to do your homework. And you don't want to be hostile and interrogate people, but those would be normal things to share. I want to know, you know, what your childhood was like. You need to know what mine was like and how we got to be who we are.
And the other thing you should do is go back over these and think about how you handle yourself in these situations.
Sure. Yeah. A simple tool for self-growth would be to look at these questions for yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, understanding these things that most people aren't going to think about or teach you about is really important to understanding whether or not a breakup might be coming. And breakups often just come out of nowhere, or it feels like that, when many of these signs or symptoms were there the whole time.
Yes.
And you just didn't know it.
And might have caught your attention, and had you taken a second look at that issue with this person, yes. And, you know, there's always Hollywood. I talked with a woman not long ago who said that her boyfriend wants a Hollywood romance. Oh, bad idea.
Which one? Cinderella, the one where he doesn't have to talk?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Or Sleeping Beauty, where she doesn't have to do anything but sleep.
That's right. I don't think he ever said much either.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, and who's the one with the hair?
The hair?
The hair.
Rapunzel?
That's it.
No,
yeah.
His character was actually good. I liked Flynn.
He talked?
Flynn Rider, yeah.
Oh, Flynn. Okay.
That's actually
a good name, Flynn. Yeah.
God, everybody's like, why does Coach Craig know Tangled? Let me tell you guys something, okay? I happen to love Tangled, okay?
Okay.
I talked to you guys about the Applebee's girl. Well, she had a 2-year-old, and I must have seen Tangled 200 times plus.
She liked it a lot.
Oh, she loved it. That and Monsters, Inc.
Monsters
Which is
Inc. Oh,
another good
yeah,
one.
Which
It's
is
funny.
another good one, yeah.
So I know Tangled,
Yeah.
okay?
But remember, Hollywood always says love is this wonderful supernatural thing that comes in and sweeps us away, and all we have to do is go with the flow and follow our heart, and everything will be wonderful. We're saying you need to use your brain too.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's just the lust stuff.
idea. Yeah, it's the best idea.
Okay, so hopefully you found this video helpful. Give Margaret a thumbs up. She did a lot of research on this one for you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. A lot of times I post the videos at different times of day, and that way YouTube will let you know when the video is out, and it'll help the channel grow. If you want to get my help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net, sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching, I do Skype. Margaret is also available.
I'm available to complicate your life further by telling you to ask more questions, but I'd love to hear from you.
So that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And we will talk with you soon. I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different, and every breakup is different. Work with me, and you'll get professional help on your situation. Just click on the link in the description below, or go to my website, askcraig.net.